Fairmount, Indiana is in a period of revitalization and has lots of new shops and restaurants, in addition to some old favorites. It's Investigate Indiana, and this week we take you on a tour of the Fairmount Historical Museum, or the James Dean Museum, as known by some. It's in the Doc Patterson home, just one block east of the stoplight in downtown Fairmount. The first floor is all about James Dean and Garfield, whose creator Jim Davis is also from Fairmount. Our guide for the day was Christy Pulley-Berry, who serves on the board of the museum and whose dad was a close friend of Jimmy's. She talks a bit about their friendship.
So my dad was Robert Pulley, Bob Pulley, and he was a classmate and a pallbearer for James Dean. The way Dad always told us stories was like he lost his friend, and it was very difficult for him to actually talk about. So he didn't talk about, I mean, we heard funny stories, but a lot of times he kept all that to himself. One interesting story was actually, it's that bike in there. Dad said they would be out on the road that Jimmy lived on, which was 150, and Dad would be on the back, and Jimmy would pop a wheelie and knock Dad off and turn around and just laugh. Dad would be getting up, brushing himself off, but Dad said he was stupid enough to get back on, and he would do it again. And he thought it was pretty funny. When Jimmy came back in 1955, in February, with Dennis Stock, the photographer, Dad heard he was in town, and my grandmother said to him, "Have you called Jimmy?" And he said, "No, Mom, he's in movies now. He doesn't want anything to do with me anymore." And she said, "I really think you should call him." And Dad said, "No." And finally my grandmother convinced him. He called him. Jimmy was thrilled to hear from him, said, "Thank you so much. What is there to do?" And Dad said, "Well, not a lot except for go out and drink." So they did. And when they got to one bar in Marion, a gentleman came up and asked Jimmy for his autograph. And so Jimmy got a napkin, he wrote it down, and the guy stood there and tore it up and threw it on the table. He was angry because Jimmy didn't go into the war, the Korean War, like a lot of veterans, including my dad, which my dad never held that against him, and because he was probably very jealous of what Jimmy was accomplishing. And my dad always follows up that story by saying, "I bet the guy wish he had the autograph today." And like I said, Dad just, that's what he says all the time. He's like, people lost a movie star, they lost an iconic figure, but I lost my friend. And it was just really, really emotional for him. Sometimes you take that for granted, like you don't think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, because he's everywhere, James is everywhere.
At the museum, you'll see all things James Dean, from his first baby jacket to his motorcycles and selected costumes from his Hollywood days. But that's not all. The museum's second floor houses things meaningful to Fairmount and its residents, like the mastodon bone that was found many years ago on my grandparents' farm. It sat for years in their cellar, and when the museum opened, it was donated. The Fairmount Historical Museum is a must-see when in town. Many of the items were donated by Dean's family. And speaking of family, please tune in next time as we'll have a sit-down conversation with Dean's cousin, Marcus Winslow, whose parents raised Jimmy from ages 9 to 18. If you like this video, please give us a like, subscribe, and comment. Oh, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified each time we upload a new adventure. See you next time!